Hi, I'm Nerida. Welcome to chefmasterclasses.com. Now, I'm so excited here today to be cooking in the kitchen with Martin Boetz from Longrain. Now, Longrain is in Sydney and Melbourne. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's
had a great morning.
Oh, it's been so good to just watch you in action. You just don't even know all the amazing tips and things that you just do step by step. So it's great to be able to get that on camera. So you don't even look a tiny bit Asian. So how did you make the leap into Asian food?
I moved to Sydney when I was 21 and I was just sort of working around the traps and not really getting anywhere, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then I stumbled upon Darley Street Thai, which was back then in Newtown, and that's where it originated, in Darley Street in Newtown, and that's why it was called Darley Street Thai.
And you'd already done your apprenticeship by this point?
Done my apprenticeship, had lived in Europe for 2 years, lived in London for a year. I went to live in Germany with my father, and then I moved to London and just was waitering in London because I didn't want to chef. I just wanted to have a bit of a break from it. And moved back to Australia and then started cooking again. And I was with a few different kitchens in Sydney, and then I really fell in love with David Thompson's food at Darley Street, and I wrote him a letter in the days where emails weren't
snail mail, they call it now.
There, and he received that letter a few days after I'd eaten in his restaurant, and I asked him if I could do some work experience, which he accepted, and I did my work experience at Darley Street on my days off. And
that's dedication.
And then I was then offered a position about a month or two after.
Wow, so he obviously recognised that you had a bit of a skill.
Well, I was just really interested, and I really loved the flavours, and I'd never tasted anything like that food before, ever.
Oh, it's amazing.
So all of the beautiful basils and lemongrass and the curries that we because David made all of his own curry paste, we made all of our coconut milk and cream, which I've carried on, but back then...
Do you really? Do you make all your own curry, your own coconut milk?
We used to, we don't actually anymore.
Gosh.
We used to, but the machinery that we did make it with was banned by occupational health and safety. So the next best thing, I use organic coconut oil, which I cook all my curry paste in, which we used to make ourselves, making our own coconut milk and cream, but it's so readily available now. It's a fantastic product.
And when you go to Thailand now, for example, do you get inspiration from street food, or do you sort of try to target certain places you want to eat, and does it inspire you, or do you think I can do better than this?
No, it always inspires me going to Thailand because you're going back to the source, and all of the product and all of the fruit, vegetable, everything's just so perfect. And when you go to the market, even though it's so hot, everything just looks so amazing in the market. It doesn't seem to wilt, but I think it's because it hasn't been pre-refrigerated, so it's just coming straight from the farm, and then it's being sold at market. Well, I'd never tasted holy basil or Thai basil or lime leaves or fresh lemongrass before because it just wasn't really available. But when I went there, and I just loved all those flavours, that was what really enticed me into cooking Asian or Thai food.
So how far apart in the making was Melbourne and Sydney Longrain, and how did that come about?
Well, we've been open for about 5 years in Sydney, and we had a lot of Melbourne customers coming in, so we decided to branch and go to Melbourne and open a restaurant in Melbourne in Victoria, and it's now 7 years, or this year is 7 years old, and
still packed to the rafters every single sitting.
And Longrain Sydney is 13 years old this year.
Wow, that's flown. Gosh, I remember the launch. I didn't go. I wasn't invited. Thanks.
Of Sydney? You must have been only 3.
I was. Thanks for noticing. Now, have you got any Thai friends who come and critique your food and tell you that you're doing it all wrong? Like some Thai nana or someone?
I have had Thai people come in and say it's not hot enough, or I have had Thai people coming in and saying how wonderful it is. So there's one particular woman, Amy, who's a friend of mine, and she comes in and tells me sometimes yes or no. And now, 13 years down the track, I've got quite a lot of Thai people working at Longrain, Sydney and Melbourne, which is great because really I haven't had that many Thai people working with us over the years, but I do at the moment, and it's really good.
So Marty, have you got any new projects on the boil?
Personally, I've just bought a property just outside of Sydney, and I want to do a market garden there, and the gardening that I want to do there is basically all about Asian fruit and vegetables and herbs. So I'm looking into that, and that's something that I've always been passionate about and I've got a great piece of land that has access to the Hawkesbury water system, so I can pump and irrigate my farm through the Hawkesbury water.
Will you have animals on it as well?
Probably. I'm looking for a caretaker at the moment, so he'll be able to help me with that, I hope.
Yeah, excellent. Gosh, how amazing. Will you try to be completely self-sufficient as best you can from that land, or is it, wow, that's amazing.
But I mean, that's a process. It's my long-term vision.
Yeah.
So,
to become a farmer.
Yes. Farmer Martin. Yeah, my third life.
Oh, that's great. And you're just the vision of what you've managed to achieve, and to do it so well and for such a long time, because as you know, restaurants come and go and pop up all the time, and it's just such a tough gig. I don't think people who want to set up a restaurant realise how tough it really is, and the business side of things. I mean, just because you can cook doesn't mean that you are able to run a business, but you're really doing both.
And that's something that you need to recognise, and something I recognise. I'm creative, but I'm not very business minded, but we have other people to do that, and you recognise and you play on your strengths, and then
which is clever. It's actually really clever to be able to do that.
And then your weaknesses you farm out to other people. Obviously, you want to know how it's done, but then on the other hand, other people enjoy doing that. If you don't enjoy it, then don't do it. Yeah.
What's the absolute favourite thing on your menu at the moment? If you had to go in and eat your own lunch, what would you order?
I've been eating the jungle curry of barramundi a lot lately. The last few weeks that I have had guests and ordered that particular dish, and I really enjoy it. It's hot. It's a stock-based curry, and it is using holly basil, which I really like the pepperiness of, and also wild ginger.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the chat. So beautiful to get to know you a bit better, and can't wait. You guys need to jump on and have a look at this beautiful pork belly and master stock recipe that Martin's whipped up for us today. You will love it. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you.